Hi everyone, Joe Gozzo here. Welcome to Folk Project Television. Today's show features Claudia Nygaard. And Claudia is a fantastic artist. She's been around for a few years, lives down in Nashville, Tennessee. One of the things I found delightful about her was the broad range of subjects on which we spoke during the short period of time we had together. Her songs are exactly the same. She has a broad range of subjects upon which she'll touch. I know you're going to like it, so make sure you stick here for the whole thing. Not only the interview, but some great songs as well. Let's go look at them. Why don't we? Everyone, I'd like to introduce you to Claudia Nygaard. Claudia, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Now, Claudia's coming to us from down in Nashville, Tennessee, and she's going to be talking about some of her songs today. She's going to be talking about her tour and a bunch of other stuff. So hang on to your hats, and we're going to get started. Hey, Claudia, when you got shut down, I'm assuming you got totally shut down by the pandemic.
Pretty much.
What did you do as far as home life? Did that change for you? Are you stuck in the house with cats, dogs, people?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm by myself, and I did really wish I had a cat. As a matter of fact, I still have this longing to have a fur face around, but I travel. You know, I'm a touring musician, so a lot of people don't want you to show up with your cat.
Yeah, cats are wonderful pets. My wife is absolutely enamored of them.
Oh yeah.
And
Me
if
too.
we could have a cat here in our apartment, which we cannot, it would make her very happy.
Yeah.
And it would give her someone else to talk to, because I'm sure she would be talking to that just as much as she talks to me. She's a real
Well,
cat person.
they're delightful animals. I just really I love their independence for one thing. You know.
Yeah.
But I travel, and so I play a lot of house concerts and stay at people's homes, and you can't, sometimes they have allergies, or they have musicians who are going to stay in that room after you leave the next time, and they have allergies or whatever. So touring with an animal just doesn't work. I used to, when I very first started singing, I would go up to Cape Cod and play for the whole summer, and so I would have like a little cabin that the venue gave me, and so I could have cats, because they don't have to just endure the ride, and then they'd be fine for the summer, and then they had to endure the ride home. But I didn't have to put them in the car every day, That's a different thing for an animal, so you don't want to do that. But I had an interesting experience with COVID. A couple of things happened. One was I turned into something of a domestic goddess. I'm never home. So I got all of a sudden I got the idea that I should paint my pantry. And then from that it led to painting my microwave cart. And then I ended up refinishing some chairs and reupholstering them. And then I ended up painting my china cabinet. And finally I stopped and went, Claudia, you have to do an album. I mean, I'd written the album, so I wasn't really feeling like, I had pressure or anything. But it was like, come on, okay, that's enough. So I got a lot done. And my house looks lovely. And so that's kind of nice. I had, when you're on the road all the time, you come home, you mow the lawn, maybe you dust, and you do what you have to do, and mostly you wash clothes and you repack your suitcase, So for me, it was really kind of a luxury to be home so much. It also was psychologically kind of good for me, because for one thing, being on the road all the time again, it's like you come home and then you've got to get out press releases, and you've got to contact radio for where you're touring to, because you want them to interview you when you're out there and going to play in their town. And so you have all of that and social media and stuff that you have to do for the next tour. Every time you come home, you're slamming all this stuff in to do, And since I wasn't going anywhere, I didn't have anything like that I had to do. And then another thing that happened was I discovered I don't actually have to work. Years ago, when my folks died, I inherited a little bit of seed money, and instead of doing albums, which is why I don't have more albums out, I flipped houses. And I ended up with a couple of condos that are paid for. And so, which it was interesting because for years I kicked myself. I kept thinking, if you'd have put that money into your career, you'd be so much further ahead. You'd be so much better known. And I've just beat myself up now for about, 10, 15 years since I did all this real estate stuff. But when COVID hit and I was getting those rental checks, even though I wasn't touring, I still had money coming in. And I was kind of like, okay, that was not your worst idea.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a very prescient thing to have done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm single. I've never been married. So I always figured, I wasn't waiting for somebody to show up on a white horse and save me from a future of poverty, So I figured, well, I better try to set up some income for when I'm too old to tour or don't want to tour anymore. So that's why I did it that way and all. But but I didn't really know I was at that point yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't know financially I was at that point. But Nashville has just grown so much and rents have skyrocketed. I never raise anybody's rent when they're in the condo.
Right.
But when they move out, I raise it before I rent it to somebody else because I hate raising the rent to somebody. So I'm raising it before they move in.
Yeah. No, that's,
and then, yeah, so my rents have really increased, which is why I didn't realize I could survive like that. And then the other thing that happened with COVID was that, when you tour, I don't have hits exactly, but I have certain songs. One of them you're going to play in a little bit, or I'm going to play, Big Country. Which, people, they're kind of like my fans' favorites, There are certain ones that are, if I don't play them, people come up to me after the show and say, you didn't play such and so, So you end up when you're on the road, because you're only doing 2 sets usually, and so you end up playing kind of the same songs. And then you want to play your best ones, because you got new people in the audience too. And
mm-hmm.
so, you want to trot out the best stuff. So you end up playing the same songs night after night. Changing a few maybe just to keep it fresh for yourself, but the bulk of it. Well, when you start live streaming for 2 years, you're not going to do the same songs night after night because you have the same audience all the time coming back. These are your stalwart fans that are coming back all the time. And so I started digging into my 300 songs that I have. And in so doing, I thought, if I got the word that I needed to get my affairs in order, I wouldn't want to have to spend what time I had left demoing 300 songs, And that kind of changed. I mean, I've been going to do a Christmas album because I've written 4 or 5 Christmas songs. Mm-hmm. And I've been going to do this album, my next album. And, I've got like 4 songs. I've got a children's project I've written. I've got like 4 albums ready to go, ready to record. And I haven't recorded them. So, and then I've written a whole nother album since I've been home, been writing like crazy. Because, you're home and it's like, oh, well, I'll just pick up a piece of paper and write this down, Because I've always done that. I've always written down song ideas. But a lot of times I'm driving or I'm, doing something and I can't actually sit down and write the song. Well, with COVID, it's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'll write it now, Mm-hmm. So I've got a boatload of songs that I need to record. So that kind of changed me as far as my priorities are concerned too. I mean, I'm now about to start. I'm about to start my newest album, and then I'm going to also do a bunch of singles that I can release on Spotify.
Okay, when are you going to start actually recording? Do you have a schedule for that?
It depends on Mr. Watson. I have this. I should tell you, I guess, a little bit about my next album. It's going to be Western.
Mm-hmm.
My father was in the cattle business, and my songs have always had like a Western line in it somewhere that has a kind of a Western reference or something. But I've got a whole album's worth of stuff that is, it's not Western like Sons of the Pioneers, it's like, not that kind. It's like Ian Tyson Western, So it's kind of Western folk, really,
Mm-hmm.
And but the imagery, there's a lot of metaphor. You know, there's one called "My Heart Knows How It Feels to Race the Wind." That's the title cut. You know, and it's ridden through the highs and lows. It's like my heart is riding horseback.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the song. And then there's a song called "Come On, Old Girl" that is about a woman is taking her horse out of the barn and leaving, and she's talking to her horse, and she says, "Come on, old girl, it's getting time to go. He might follow, but I doubt it, though." You know, and she's leaving her man, but she's telling her horse, you know, we gotta go. I don't want to, but, you know, don't make me use my spurs, girl. You know, that kind of thing. So it was really, really fun, because some of these songs I had written years ago and never did anything with them because, I don't know, I just never did. You know. Yeah. And then I got into going to, I don't know if you know Joyce Woodson. She's a wonderful singer-songwriter, and I have camped with her at Kerrville many times, at the Kerrville Folk Festival. I won the Kerrville Folk Festival songwriting competition, and one of the times that I was there, I was camping with her, and she said, "You really need to come to the Western Music Association conference." And I said, "Well, I'm not really Western. I'm really just folk and a little country." And she said, "I think you need to come." And she was after me for like 6-7 years or something. And I finally went, and then I realized, you know, that it's like, you know how some people think that folk music is all just Kingston Trio or something, you know, they don't get it, that there's like this whole artist thing of contemporary folk that's, you know, that's new, you know, they think folk music is Peter, Paul and Mary and the Kingston Trio, you know. And I was kind of that way about Western. I thought it was all like, you know, Gene Autry and Roy Rogers. I didn't think it was, you know, something where there were contemporary artists who were making this music. And I was so impressed by the musicianship in this group. I mean, a lot of like swing, a lot of jazz, kind of influenced swing. Everybody's playing Hollow Body Archtops, you know, and stuff. And it just was really exciting to be at this conference. So anyway, and I was very well embraced. People were just so interested in my songwriting. So it's kind of exciting doing this project.
You mentioned that you have a song that you're going to give us called Big Country.
Right.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about how that song came to be, and we'll listen to it.
It was, when did I write that? It's been a while back. It's a song about, you know, I guess I keep thinking it'll become dated, and it never does. It became really relevant. I mean, when Trump wanted to build a wall, mm-hmm. And it's really relevant now because of what's going on in Ukraine. It's about, the first verse is about the Irish coming to America, and the second verse is about my ancestors, the Scandinavians, coming to the prairies. And so the first verse on the song is, "We had names like Sean and Colleen when we reached the harbor." And the second verse is, "We had names like Katrina and Ole when we crossed the prairie, and we had names like Juan and Maria when we crossed the river." I was actually playing in Las Vegas when I wrote that song. I had the worst case. I had just bought my first house, and I'd been out in the yard cleaning up all this brush in shorts. And I had the worst case of poison ivy I had ever had in my life. I was miserable. I had to take steroids for it. I was covered. And so at the time I had a band, and we were playing in Vegas. It was National Finals Rodeo or something like that. Anyway, we were a country band I was in a country band at the time. And so my band did all the driving, and I laid in the back of the van with these poultices on my arms and legs. And when we got to the casino, which is where we were playing, I won't play them anymore, but I did play them back then during that week, National Finals Rodeo week. And so I got into the hotel room, and I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had these names in my head, just like Sean and Colleen and Ole and Katrina, all these names of these different nationalities. And I thought, what is this? I mean, I woke up from a sound sleep at like 4 a.m, And sometimes I try to trick the muse, so I just wrote them down. I thought, well, I'll just write down the names and maybe this will make some sense tomorrow, And I got back to bed about 10 a.m. after I'd written the song. I think it was because we were driving, and when the rule I had in the van was that whoever was driving got to pick the radio station. So the drummer had been driving, and we were listening to the drum sounds of the Acampo Indians as we were crossing New Mexico. And there was a radio station. It was a Native American radio station, and so we were listening to that. And so I think it was just that I started thinking about the Native Americans being here first, and then the Irish coming, and the people coming into to Boston, and then, my ancestors coming in the 1800s, and then, people coming up from the border more recently, from the southern border. And it just kind of all just came together in my head while I was asleep, I guess. And I woke up in the morning and then just bang, and it was a song, which I guess we should probably let people hear.
Why don't we do that?
Okay. We had names like Sean and Colleen when we reached the harbor, as quick to wink as fight with a twinkle in our eyes. And we planted potatoes and rolled up our sleeves, washed clothes and built factories, and hung on to a dream that wouldn't die. And we had names like Katrina and Ole when we crossed the prairie. We were strong and stern and no stranger to the wind and snow. And that old blue northern, she blew and she blew, but we pulled our coats tighter, said we're tougher than you. We'll hang on, no matter how hard you blow. We've got a big country that holds so many dreams, a big country and more in common than it seems. We all love and hope and know what freedom means. We share a big country that holds so many dreams. And we had names like Juan and Maria when we crossed the river, with a dream of manana in a place where the corn could grow. We took the jobs with the smallest of pay, the only ones a gringo would give away, and hung on to a dream that grew so slow. And we had names like Rachel and Ruben and Yoko and Lee, Sitting Bull and Sacagawea, Muhammad and Fatima, and we are every color and faith underneath the sun. But somehow we've all come together as one, and if we can make it work in the USA, well, then maybe the whole world could live in peace someday. We've got a big country that holds so many dreams, a big country and more in common than it seems. We all love and hope and know what freedom means. We are love and hope and know what freedom means. And we share a big country that holds so many dreams.
Now, you're going to be on the road doing some touring.
Yes, for the first time in a long time.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're going to be, and then you could tell us a little bit about the special project you have coming up out in Cape Cod.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be starting in Knoxville. I'm doing a set on a radio station I've been wanting to get to play me for a really long time, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then I'm doing a show at the Bird and the Book, which is a bookstore, which is a kind of a combination interview. It's actually run by a guy who gave me a killer review, so I couldn't say no. And so on my last album, so I'm going to be doing that, and then I'm going on to play a coffee house in Roanoke, Virginia, and then I'm playing a house concert in Fairfax, Virginia, and then I'm going up to Cape Cod, and I'm doing a show at the Preservation Hall in Wellfleet on Cape Cod, which is a wonderful place, wonderful venue. And we're going to videotape it because I'm going to do a live show and it's going to be videotaped. And I'm also going to be doing some videotaping of some songs for the Western album, including Come On, Oh Girl. I found somebody who's got a nice paint horse. Yeah, and so we're going to go out to her barn and do a video there of the song. So I'm excited about that. And then I'm going to, so I'll be doing that. I got my start on Cape Cod. I don't guess I mentioned that, but my very first paid performance was on Cape Cod. And I was in my very, very early 20s. And 22, I think I was 22. Anyway, so I've spent a lot of time on the Cape. Every chance I get, I go up there. I just love the Cape, and I have tons of friends up there too. So it's kind of like a little bit of a combination vacation and
lovely part of the country, that's for sure.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's too bad I'm not going to be up in the summer, but I had to do what I had to do. and then I'm going to play in New York. I'm playing and actually it's Honesdale, Pennsylvania, and this is all in April. I start the tour, I think, the 30th of March, and then I'm doing the Honesdale is the 10th of April. And then I go back down through D.C., and I'm going to play a couple of venues in D.C., and a songwriter night and another show in a museum. And then I'm going to go back to Knoxville and play a different place in Knoxville. And then I'm going down to Atlanta and play for the Atlanta Folk Society. And then I'm going to come home and get on my Easter dress.
And do a bunch of laundry.
Yeah.
Can't forget that part of it.
Yes.
Now, your travels around the country, I'm assuming you are being as cautious as you can because of what's going on out there.
Oh, yeah.
Have you experienced any? Well, I should ask this differently. Since the pandemic began, have you been on the road?
Once. I kind of, in between variants. I went down to, I had a whole boatload of stuff I had to cancel.
Right.
Like everybody else, which was, I guess that was March of, I think the last show I did when COVID hit was March of 2020. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't do anything for a year. And then in June of last year of 2021, I think before Delta hit, was that before Delta or before Omicron? I can't remember. Anyway, there was that little window of time, and I went down to Texas and I played some shows. and did a week-long tour down there and played in Beaumont and Houston and Austin.
Well, at least you got out for a little while. In the
It was
middle of
nice. It was great. I'm looking forward to this. I'm really hopeful that by the time, things have dropped so much.
Right.
The infection rate has dropped like 55% or something. I heard on the news yesterday.
No.
So.
Well, I don't know how much it's dropped. My problem is not so much that it's dropped a little bit or it's dropped a lot. My concern is that even if it has dropped, it hasn't dropped to zero. And I have a person with a compromised immune system, my wife.
Yes.
So we can't take a risk at this point in our lives, and neither of us are very young, so we want to protect ourselves and give us the best chance to get through this whole thing, so we can go out and party again with the rest of you guys. And
yes. Well, I will probably mask up when I'm not actually singing.
Right.
Still, especially like at a show, But then I'm on a stage usually, so
so you do have a lot of
my
distance.
6 feet of, which is good because then I'm not like, if I did pick up something, and I'm carrying my tests, my tests, so I can test myself as I go, and
good.
not.
Now, you have a song that you're going to do for us next, and you kind of hinted as to its sort of a tropical sound.
Yes, it was really fun. I was engaged to a fellow at one point who just never would ever go anywhere. And it wasn't terrible for me because I was always going somewhere, and when I came home, I didn't particularly want to go anywhere, but I did want to go to some beach somewhere with him, and just hang out. And, it never happened. It just never got to be a priority enough. And this song just kind of came out when I got my ukulele. I just started having, I guess when I got my ukulele, I started thinking tropical because it's just so known for it, and it just is a great feel for it. So anyway, this is a song that is about a woman who decides to go whether he goes or not.
Independence, that's right.
Yes.
All right, well, why don't we listen to that?
Okay. After last year's snow, I said, come on, let's go. And we planned a trip down here this year. Warm sand between my toes and hardly any clothes. It's such a shame that you're not here. Too bad you're not coming down, 'cause the sun's going down and the rum's going down, no problem. Wish you were here. Oh, the sun's going down, but I'm still hot. You could be here. Too bad you're not, 'cause the rum's going down and there's plenty of ice cold beer. Boy, you sure look surprised. Big, round, wide open eyes when I set my suitcase by the door. Your job is killing you, but it won't kill me too. Not lying on this sandy shore. Too bad you're not coming down, 'cause the sun's going down and the rum's going down, no problem. Wish you were here. Oh, the sun's going down, but I'm still hot. You could be here. Too bad you're not, 'cause the rum's going down and there's plenty of ice cold beer. Well, there's something I don't often see coming up the beach to me. Why, it's a barefoot man in a suit and tie. Well, I guess you changed your mind. I hoped you would in time. Trade a kiss for a cold one, thirsty guy. And then let's sit down. We'll watch the sun go down. Oh, the rum's going down, and I'm glad you're finally here. Oh, the sun's going down, but you're still hot. You could be back home, I'm sure glad you're not. 'Cause the rum's going down, and there's plenty of ice-cold beer. Yeah, the rum's going down, and there's plenty of ice-cold beer.
All right, beautiful, beautiful song. You are one of the. You've been described by a number of places, a number of writers, as being, I won't say devilish, but maybe a little more than just witty. And your songs often are preceded or followed by some fantastic, outlandish, irreverent, I think somebody used that word, tales or stories or just things in general that you use to entertain your fans.
Right. I've also been told I have no boundaries.
Well, boundaries are okay if you want to be bound.
Yeah.
But who wants to be bound?
I don't either.
No, that's no fun.
And it makes you not as good of a writer. You know, I think there are, what I have learned is that there are primary emotions and there are secondary emotions. We all think that hate is a primary emotion, but hate is actually a result of fear. And fear is a primary emotion, but hate is not. Love is a primary emotion, but not hate. And so when I'm writing a song, I try to get down to what the primary emotion is, you know, so that I understand the topic better, you know. And that's you can't have a lot of boundaries if you're doing that. I mean, you have to just peel back the layers of the onion and get into it, you know.
Now, do you sing in the shower?
If I have a song in my mind that I'm working on, yeah.
Okay, but you don't just get in the shower and sing just for the sake of singing.
Well, no, because I rent out my downstairs, and I figure they get subjected to enough with me up here banging on my guitar.
Now, the whole idea of writing a song often comes in different forms. So some people, they start out with a lyric, or they'll start out with an idea for a lyric. It won't even be an actual lyric. It might just be one, 3 or 4 words that they say, I can build a song out of this. Other people write a melody first, and then they'll say, what kind of words can I put that will sound good with this? What's you have a particular thing that you do first or second?
Well, as I've mentioned earlier, I'm so busy all the time between the social media and the touring and the booking and everything else. So I don't have time to write a song I'm not excited about. Slade Cleaves was quoted in an interview recently as saying he doesn't have time to write a bad song. And that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, it's just, if I don't have a song that I think is a really strong hook, we call that a hook in Nashville, then I don't have time to write it. So what happens for me usually is I get an idea. There's something that sticks in my craw, so to speak. It's sort of like the oyster and the grain of sand that becomes an oyster, An oyster, a pearl.
Pearl, yeah.
It's just that something works in me, and it works in me, and it works in me, and it works in me, and then all of a sudden it just comes out. It's like, I've heard songwriters say they gave birth to a song, and it's really a lot like that sometimes, I think Big Country really was almost that way, and I'm sure it was several years of resentment about not ever getting to go on a vacation with my ex that made me write that. But sometimes sometimes it just falls right out of the sky and it's right in your lap and you just sit down and write it immediately. But other times it just lays there until finally it's ready. It's ready to be finished. It's kind of like it's already at least a couple of lines.
Right.
You know? I mean, I have a new song that I wrote that won't be on this new album because it's more Western, but I've got a song called Kisses that's one of my newer ones. And I like a lot of kisses. I guess I always did. I stole them on the playground when I was just a kid, you know. And it's all about.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah. But I mean, I always have. And I was with this guy who was just not very affectionate, and I was just always very needy. I felt very needy because, you know, I just always wanted a lot of kisses. And so that it bugged me, you know, and then it became, finally, it was kind of like a letter to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, it's funny. You should mention that my wife and I have, we got together late in life. We've only been together about 10 years now. But I've known her since 1968, 69-ish.
Wow, yeah.
But we were out of touch for 40 years. She went her way, I went mine. And one of the things that we both agree upon is that we love to cuddle. We love to hold each other. We love to be together. And the people that we've been with before, maybe a bit less cuddly.
Yeah.
And when we found each other, that ability to reach out and cuddle with a person who actually enjoyed doing so became our be-all and end-all to our relationship. I mean, it's literally what we do every day, every night. We talk to each other about it. We say, I can't believe I found somebody that likes to hold me and cuddle me. So I get it. I get the whole idea of how frustrating it can be for going through one's life without that cuddle and that doing things together, going on vacation with someone that they go on vacation with you, but they're not really with you. They're thinking about work. Yeah. That's another one that a lot of people make the mistake of doing instead of being there all the way. Exactly. They tend to drift in and out to other things are going on in their heads. They're not really present at all times.
I heard something, or maybe I saw it on the internet recently, or somebody may have sent it to me, that it was from a therapist that said that, you know, love grows from intimacy. Mm-hmm. So if someone holds back from being intimate, whether it's with affection or telling their story or to you or sharing their feelings with you, the love isn't going to be as deep as it could be with someone who is open like that. So it's like, sort of like, okay, this is as far as our love is going to go, and that's it. Mm-hmm. It's not going to grow any further than that. That's it. That's as far as it gets.
Yeah, I truly believe that our relationships, and I'm talking about my wife and myself, but everybody, the collective our relationships are always much more deep, much more loving when you just stop and give the other person a chance to say what they want to say, and you actually hear what they're saying. Yeah. You know, don't jump in and say, "Oh, yeah, well, I understand, but I got," you know, that doesn't work. You have to just sit there and absorb everything, because that's where you get to really understand the persons that are around you.
Yeah.
And that includes kids.
That's what they teach you too in like any kind of marriage counseling thing, is that, you know, person A talks and then person B listens, then person B talks and person A listens, and you go back and forth like that until you resolve whatever the problem was.
Yeah, I agree with you. There are also the cool things about when you're talking to someone and they're telling you, or they're telling you something on their end. I have found that I get a lot more out of it if I keep asking them and saying, more, give me more about that. I'm not sure. You know, I want to make sure I really get what they're saying. And my wife and I do that a lot.
Yeah, that's good. That's the glue.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the glue.
I told her she's really stuck with me, or whatever. Yeah, I'm stuck on her, so it's going to stay that way.
Good.
Now, you have another song that you're going to give us today, and this one is kind of, I guess, talks about relationships again, right?
It does. It talks a lot about the initial part of a relationship.
Well, why don't you tell us about that?
The song is called Old Buick, and I got the song idea, of all places, in Walgreens. I was looking for a birthday card for a friend of mine, and I looked at this card, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is my love life. And inside the card it said, some say that love is the gentle wafting between two souls. And then you open the card up and it says, for me, it's more like a headlong collision between a Buick and an Oldsmobile. And I thought, oh, well, yeah, that's pretty much how my life goes. You know? So I ended up, that kind of was one of those ones that just stayed in there for a long time. I thought, that's a great song idea. I bought the card just because I wanted to remember to write that song. Mm-hmm. And so, periodically I'd be looking through my cards because I had somebody's birthday was coming or something, and I'd run across it and I think, hey, I gotta write that song, And then finally I wrote it, and then we had a great time doing the video. I was touring in the Northwest. I was playing up in Oregon, and I was coming down the road, and there was this junkyard, and there were these really old cars in it, and I thought, that's where I should shoot the video for this song in a junkyard. So when I got home to Nashville, I got on the internet and I was looking for, vintage car junkyard is what I typed in. And this place came up halfway between Nashville and Atlanta, and it was a vintage car junkyard museum, kind of. There's all these cars from back to the 30s that were in this junkyard that they had like trees growing through them and stuff, and they were covered with kudzu and, just all rusted out and everything. But I stopped the next time I went down to Atlanta. I stopped and went to the car museum and looked at these cars and went, oh yeah, this is definitely where I'm going to shoot the video. And we shot it down there, and it was great because it was, just funky and everything. The only thing was it was so hot that day, and my hair just went completely limp because I was sweating so much. But it was really fun. It was really a fun place.
Well, why don't we listen to that song?
All right.
Here we go.
I see the yellow light and drive through it fast. I see the double lines I still try to pass. I pay no attention to the hazard signs, 'cause there's no caution in this heart of mine. I love you like an old Buick, smashing into an Oldsmobile, 2 tons of mid-century steel, souped up and ready to go. I love you like an old Buick, revving an engine that just misfires, taking the corners on just 2 tires, bold and ready to blow. I hope I don't need a tow. I'm praying this ain't another one-way street, 'cause it's a headlong collision every time we meet. Is it me or you who's got the right of way? Will we be shattered glass and yellow tape? I love you like an old Buick, smashing into an Oldsmobile. just no stopping this heart of mine. I love you like an old Buick smashing into an Oldsmobile. 2 tons of mid-century steel, souped up and ready to go. I love you like an old Buick, revving an engine that just misfires, taking the corners on just 2 tires, bald and ready to blow. I hope I don't need a tow. I hope I don't need a tow. I hope I don't need a tow.
Okay, that's a good old song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now we have a couple of things I want to just touch base on. You have a website, and that is www.claudianygaard.com.
Correct.
And on that website, you have a bunch of different tabs that folks click on. Brings you to a store. Tells you if you wanted to get booked. If they want to book you for a show, there's a link there for that. And just a bunch of other stuff. There's some press releases, a bio, and a number of other interesting things to really.
And a
nice
videos
website.
tab too, where
Yep,
I put all my best videos in one spot. So
we definitely encourage everyone to go to www.claudianygaard.com. Take a look around, click on all those different tabs, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy everything you find there. And it's a well-designed website, by the way.
oh, thanks. I designed it myself. And also, you can sign up for my mailing list if they want to know when I'm coming to play near them, because I pretty much play everywhere in the country.
Cool.
So
Now we're just about out of time today, but you have anything special you want to talk about? Any last-minute thoughts for our listeners that? A gem, a magic gem that you want to share with us?
I don't know about a magic gem, but I do hope everybody is praying for Ukraine. When I look at Ukraine on the news, I think to myself, this is us. This is us in 1776. They will be shooting from behind buildings instead of from behind trees.
Mm-hmm.
But they are going to fight for freedom. And they are like us. They need our support. And I'm really impressed by the heroism. Just the courage and it's I suppose it has something to do with the fact that I'm a storyteller, but it's every great story. I mean, it's David and Goliath and Robin Hood and the Sheriff of Nottingham. I mean, it's just this underdog who, it's like the Red Sox until for 86 years against the Yankees. Sorry, I know there's probably a lot of Yankee fans watching this, but
well, I'm sure there's a lot of Red Sox fans watching this as well. So.
Oh, good. I have a song I wrote for the Red Sox, by the way. I'm about to release a video on that. If we ever have an opening day of baseball, right. I'm waiting for opening day to release it.
First 2 series. So.
Yeah.
Now, since we are talking about things that we can't do because of various preventive reasons, such as a strike or a lockout or pandemic or war or something, what we, as the Folk Project, what we try to do is we try to circumvent all of that stuff, bringing shows like this to our listeners, giving them a chance to enjoy some music from our the various artists that are out there today. And we bypass the brick and mortar venues because we have to. And this gives them a chance to listen to us and listen to you and folks just like yourself. With that said, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this show.
Oh,
you have
my thrill.
some great music, wonderful stuff out there, and I encourage everyone, like I did before, to reach out and find out more about you and what you do. And hopefully when you're in town or close by, you're going to be up here in the Northeast, as you said earlier. If you're of a mind to take a little drive, definitely worth going to one of these venues and enjoying some good music. So, thank you again so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate being on.
You're very welcome. And, folks, I'll be talking to you after I get off this chat. I'm going to hang up on you guys, and I'm going to talk to Claudia for a little while. Well, everyone, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed Claudia's interview as much as I did doing it. Her music is out there, her website is out there, and you can find so much more on that website, including how to contact her or to get her booked on for a show. So make sure you check out that website, and that's ClaudiaNygaard.com. Again, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you stay careful. We know that there's still stuff going on out there with the virus, and I don't want to see anybody get sick. Now, until we do meet again, make sure you enjoy as much music as possible. And remember the one thing I say every time we have a show, and that's keep peace in your heart. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks.